Hey, dudes and dudettes, Mr. Theorist here, and welcome to another Ramble reaction review. As you can tell by the thumbnail and the title, this one is on Death Note, the Netflix movie. Say hello.
Say hello.
You're
laughing at. Anyway, go on it.
Okay, so we said we'll do this one when it came out, and oh boy.
You weren't looking forward to this, were you?
Oh boy.
You're like a volcano about to explode. Go on then, go on. You've been waiting for this, you've been going...
When I saw the trailer, I was like, oh god, this isn't going to be great, is it? It's an Americanization of it, which never really works with anime. It doesn't. And I will give it has its moments. It has moments. But overall, yeah.
Overall what?
Okay.
Come on. You've been waiting.
Light doesn't feel like light at all.
Yep.
He's not light.
Yep.
Ryuk is not Ryuk. William Dafoe, I loved his voice. I was a bit at first, but I liked his voice as Ryuk. It was good. But no, he was not. L, he had his mannerisms, but then completely lost it about halfway through, and it was like, well, nah. And everyone else was everyone else. And the only one that actually was like his character, I would say, is, how do you pronounce his name? Walt.
Wasabi.
The handler of L. He's the one character I felt was his character. Everyone else just.
Was just what? Just what? Come on.
It was just
You've been waiting to
so
explode.
Americanized to an anime, is what it is. It was like, oh, we get it. It's about a kid who decides, why not? Why don't I just start writing people's names down? There was no methodicalness to it. There was no pre-planning. There was at times, but not to the degree that it should have been. There was no end goal. It was just, let's start killing people and hopefully the world changes. It wasn't... He wasn't L to begin with. No, Light. He wasn't Light, which instantly annoyed me. Then the girlfriend, I enjoyed her character, to be fair. Then when L was introduced, it was just... I have no words for it. I really don't, because it was... I have a note somewhere. I have notes. Give me your initial review and then we'll go into notes and stuff.
Okay, right. There was an unsaid rule that you should not make an anime into a Western live-action movie. Now, here's the point. Now, here's my opening comment. This was the best Western interpretation of any anime I've ever seen. Now, it's a praise, but it's a low praise. Because of the history is that this shouldn't have worked. To an extent, I'm going to play devil's advocate. This kind of worked. I was being deliberately optimistic. I was watching this and felt it's telling the story. The one major issue with this film, yes, Light was not Light.
No.
L was not L.
No.
That is because this was an interpretation. This was a version of taking the concept of Death Note and making a movie. That's what they did. Now, where they succeeded, where stuff like Ghost in the Shell failed, Ghost in the Shell, now listen man, Ghost in the Shell failed because they tried to do it shot for shot, character for character, and just put a Western label on it. With this, they took the elements of Death Note and created an original story. Now, the one major problem that I wrote at the beginning, when I noticed within about 20 minutes of watching this, is I wrote down speed, pace.
God, yes.
The speed of it is that because they only had a 2-hour movie to do a 26+ anime series, they were rushing through the plot lines, rush. And so one of the major successes of Death Note is the slow burn story.
Yes.
I reckon they would have had a massive successful Death Note series because they should have done this as a series and had it slow burn, because the characters sometimes were acting in particular ways because they had to get the plot going. The first little thing was L showing the Death Note to
Light. Death Note.
Light showing the Death Note to Mia. It was like, oh my god, he would never do that, and that's what made me think this is not that character. This is a version.
Okay.
So as a complete story, they told a complete story. The only real problem was that it's trying to burn its way through 26 episodes in 2 hours, which is something you shouldn't do, but this did it reasonably successful. Now, well, not reasonably, no, slightly successful. So it's one of the better ones. The problem you're going to have is that you're saying it's not the anime, it's not the anime, it's not because it's
no,
not.
but the thing is, this is what I'm trying to say though, is that Death Note isn't just about someone who picks up a Death Note and starts murdering criminals. It's also about L's journey into becoming, who starts off with this very...
That's the speed issue.
But the thing is, it wasn't like that at all. The whole story
telling a different story.
is... Yeah, but if you're going to call yourself Death Note, you don't just... the only connecting factor is somebody picks a Death Note up and starts using it. It has to have the connecting elements.
A famous madman once said about Douglas Adams' books, and he was asked, how do you do a live-action version of a Douglas Adams book? And his answer was, you don't, even though that is what he did.
Yeah, but...
Max Landis, by the way.
Death Note itself, it's about L, about light. And I have to... One of the notes I wrote was...
Go for it.
For a non-Death Note movie, it is entertaining.
Yeah.
This is the thing. Is I know I'm being very critical of it's like, it's not like the anime, it's not like the anime, it's not like the anime.
You were starting off saying, this is not like the anime, and you were standing by that. And you were growling and snarling all the way through it.
If you're going to call yourself something, at least have the elements of it.
Yeah, elements. But they tell their original story. That is why stuff like Ghost in the Shell failed. Because it tried to do it shop. This took the aspects of Death Note and told a story. Didn't succeed.
Which aspects did it use?
Here's the thing. It didn't really succeed because it was trying to tell the story far too quickly, and sacrificing certain elements changed the characters too much in certain elements. Stuff things had to happen, like Mia knowing about the book happened over a period of time, and Elle was very guarded towards the book and make sure that nobody found out about it. But because this was a 2-hour movie, it had to happen like that. Hence the reason why it happened like that. And that was against what the elements of the L character doesn't act towards. But that's because this wasn't the anime L. This was a version of L. This was an interpretation of taking aspects of the story and telling their own story.
Even aspects of him, though.
No. Well, that's because it was their own version. It was a different interpretation of the anime.
If you go in... But the thing is, they called him Light. They called him Light.
Did you go into this film thinking, I'm going to have an open mind, this might be good?
Honestly, I did. I was, at my initial looking at the trailer, I was like, I'm not sure because this is another westernized version of an anime. But like Ghost in the Shell, I did go in going, I'm not sure, but I'll give it a chance. And the fact that I get they were trying to tell their own story, but if you're going to call your main character Light, at least have him be like Light, and he wasn't at all.
There was elements there.
There wasn't though. That was the thing.
You showed there was slight elements. He wasn't exactly the same character. No.
He was nothing like Light.
That's because they were telling a version of the story. So all the different pieces had to change. It was a different story. It was just taking elements. They couldn't do the way Light is in the anime. They couldn't do the way L is in the anime because they didn't have the time. That was the problem. If they'd done this as a 10-episode Netflix series, they would have had the time, because that's the whole point about Death Note. It's a slow burning story that you get drawn into with the interplay against L and Light. And they knew this when they started this movie. They're going, we can't do that. We can't do that in this movie. You can't be done.
Okay, we really moaned, right, about the Japanese movie of Death Note. In that, they did do the game of Light versus L, and they did do elements of that, and that was some of the parts I enjoyed about that live action, is they did those elements, and you can do it in a movie. But you can.
Yeah,
and to me, that is how
look back
Death Note is.
Look back at your own review of that film. You're now praising a movie.
I'm not praising it. This is the thing. I'm not praising that, but I'm saying, even though I wasn't a fan of that, it still did things.
This was better than that. On a production level, on a storytelling level, this was better than the Japanese live action version. But that's because I am not. See, my first, when I start watching this, I am not going to judge this as the anime. I'm going to judge it as it is, as I'm watching. The issues I had with it was the speed they were telling the story, because I felt like I was on a treadmill all the way through this. It was like, this happened, now this happened, this happened, now that's happened. You're just going through it. They're just burning through the story really, 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 really quickly. And I thought, my God, they're going to do the whole 26 episodes in this one movie. Luckily they didn't, but yeah. And that was one real issue. If they had time to build, I would have enjoyed this more. Okay, here's the thing. It was not the best of movies, but considering their limitations, I thought this was a decent, not good, not great, not amazing, but a decent.
As I'm saying,
interpretation of an anime
is that if it wasn't Death Note, this is what I'm saying. If it wasn't Death Note, I would accept that it was like someone doing with elements of Death Note and then doing this. I would accept it as it. Yes, it in itself it was a good film.
Do you mean if it wasn't called Death Note? If it was
if it wasn't
Killing
called
Paper,
Death Note and it was
called Killing Paper instead?
Because the thing is it wasn't Death Note's story completely. There was barely any elements. Like, you had the three characters.
Oh no, they were there. The elements were there. They were just trimmed to the smallest fraction, and that because basically we had. Within 25 minutes, we'd had the first 7 episodes because, like, L is introduced one episode in the anime.
It's
six, seven
second. It's about second.
Really?
Yeah, because the whole point is he starts burning through criminals, and then basically, like, this one guy turns up.
Fully established. But he was introduced like within minutes, within the first few minutes, within 20 minutes of the film. Then L was there and it was established as well. They took time to establish the character with the mysteriousness. Again, it was all to do with the pacing issue. Now, a lot of people are going to hate this movie because it's not Death Note. But people have to understand is that if somebody else is creating a version of something, they're creating their own story, their own characters.
Let's do devil's advocate like you are here, right?
Yeah.
You are saying that because it's its own interpretation, that you can't judge the fact that it doesn't do certain elements, right? Then look at something like BVS and the way people go on about that. And how they don't use the elements of a character and then people really hated the fact they didn't use the elements of that character.
Because they're iconic.
How is it any different?
It's iconic. That is
Death Note. Look at Death Note now. Death Note is one of the iconic animes now.
No, it's not. It's an iconic anime. But no, this is somebody taking on an interpretation. They have their own version of a story. They had this story and they did their own version of a story. They couldn't tell the same story because they didn't have the time. L is not L. It is a different character.
This is what I'm saying though. Is why is this allowed? Why is this allowed to then be? Oh, you can go, okay, it's a good movie on its own, but because...
No, it's not a good movie. I never said it was a good movie.
Yeah, but you're giving it praise and saying, oh, it's allowed to make the character mistakes.
The only thing there's not mistakes. You're calling it mistakes. It's not mistakes. It's a version. If someone does a version of a character, it's not a mistake. It's their version. It's their it's a telling a story.
Then okay,
differently.
This is what I'm saying then, is then why is it a problem when other things like BVS do it and then that's allowed to be slacked on?
Totally different thing, because BVS was a bad movie in structure and character interpretation. For what it was, for the kind of story it was telling. This was limited. One, it's based on an anime, and as I said, that's the reason why I opened with is that it's the unsaid rule, you do not make Western versions of anime because it never, ever works. Never works. An entire history of transferring from Japanese to anime, live action, that differs because obviously you had Magnificent Seven coming from the Seven Samurai, I digress. But I would say in more recent years of transferring an anime to a westernized version, it's never worked and it's failed abysmally. This, in my mind, did not totally fail. That's pretty much my interpretation. Now, I am not saying it's a great movie. It's not a great movie. It might not even be a good movie. But I applaud the effort because they didn't just try to make the anime. They told something new and different and original by taking elements and creating their own little concoction.
That's what I'm saying though, is that I didn't feel there was elements there. Apart from the fact that you had the name of the characters and the Death Note itself.
Exactly. It was their own version.
Apart from those elements though, there's nothing else.
Yeah. So, exactly, that's my point. It was its own thing. Judge it for
But to
being its
me,
own
that's
thing, not for
not
being...
that's not having the elements. That's
You
just
are.
naming characters for your anime to be. Oh look, I'm going to watch this because it's got this character, this character in it.
Yeah, but then most people will... The reason I'm playing devil's advocate is most people will watch this because they're fans of the original anime and they want to see their original anime in a film. Not gonna happen. That's why you got to appreciate what they did do with the story they told. It was not great, and I just keep on saying this. I do not think that was a great film, but I applaud the efforts of what they did in it. That's
All right.
I mean, that's the point. Is that you went into this anime thinking, did you think you were going to get L in this film?
Yes, I
Did you
thought if
think
you're going
you're
to
gonna get
name a
Light?
character L and Light, you're going
Those
to have
exact
them
characters.
be. No, maybe not exactly, but at least have elements of the character,
I mean, they
not
showed-
just name.
They showed the DNA of the characters, and they didn't betray the characters they created because they were different characters. L was not L; it was a different version of L. I mean, you look in your Batman vs Superman. You're using that as an example, but if you look at Batman over the last 50 years, there's been multiple interpretations where they take the element of Batman, but they create a totally different character from the different say of what people know as the iconic Batman character. You talk about the 1960s version of Batman. You talk about Frank Miller's Return of the Dark Knight. They are not the same character, but they take it on. Nobody's going to judge Frank Miller's Return of the Dark Knight because it's not the 1960s Batman. But bizarrely enough, that's what people judged the '89 movie, the Tim Burton darker movie. They ripped into that because it wasn't the 1960s Batman. In the same way is that people are ripping into this Death Note movie because it's not the anime. It's a version. Allow it to be its own version and judge it for being its own version.
All right. As I say, I don't agree with something if it's going to just have the name of something and then not have the key elements.
That's cool.
Is what I'm saying.
Cool.
I'll accept that. Yeah, there was the bit near the end where you found out. I
wanted
don't want
more.
to spoil, but
Oh no,
because I don't.
Okay.
I don't want people to. I don't want to. I want to try and be good this time. There is
when are we not spoiled and when are we-
about right near the end. There is like a little bit of a twist with one of the characters, and it's like, oh, and I like that. I was like, oh, that felt like
something.
Exactly that's what I'm saying. Is every now and again it just hit you slightly and gone like Death Note, and it felt like they didn't quite get it, but then there was moments where they did, and it was like, well, why can't you then have them all the way through instead of just having instant moment?
Because Ghost in the Shell. Because if you do try to put the exact thing out there,
I'm not even
it
saying
doesn't work.
they need to do exact. I just felt that in order to call someone Light or call someone L, have them at least be like that character. Like, I had hopes for L when we first saw him. He was sitting in the chair funny, he was grabbing at the sweets in a weird way, and he had like mannerisms, and I was like,
DNA, had the DNA of the character, but it's not the same character.
L had DNA elements. Light had nothing in this film.
I'd admit
nothing.
That's because they decided they couldn't write the L that was in the anime. They had to write them differently. Yes, and this guy, little bit of a bitch. Sometimes. But there is this weaker version. Now listen to me on this. Listen and see if you agree or disagree.
I can see where you're going.
This weaker version of L, you do get a payoff that's a totally different pull away from the anime. It doesn't happen in the anime at all. You get near the end of the film. You see.
Yes.
That's why you've got to judge this movie for what it is. For its
You
own
guys are experiencing it, and as I'm experiencing it.
Yeah,
I get you. I'm not. I have two judgments for it, and you've all heard my judgments as someone who has clearly watched Death Note and is clearly a huge fan of Death Note.
Okay.
What Death Note did was great, but this film itself.
I've been going on too long.
Okay.
Let's wrap it up.
Yeah. If you're a fan of Death Note, be prepared to not see Death Note if you're going to watch this.
I'm agree with that statement.
But if you're willing to go, okay, I'd like to see what a Western version of this sort of story could be, and you're okay watching the Dragon Balls, the Ghost in the Shell type of Western interpretations.
They're dross. This was decent.
This was a little bit better than them. So have an expectation between the two, and that's kind of what.
Have a low expectation, and you'll enjoy it.
Yes, essentially. Which is a shame because most of Netflix stuff is quite good. Yes. So
Rating.
Okay. Okay. I'm going to give it 2 ratings. As a Death Note film, 2. 2.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
2
Okay,
out
as a film,
of, I would
as a
say 2
2 out of.
out of 5.
Okay.
Because it did catch me at elements where I was like, okay, this feels kind of, but definitely did not have nearly enough and peeved me off so much as a fan. As a movie itself, I'll go a little higher and give it a 3.
Okay.
Because, as you say, for a Western interpretation of an anime, it does okay. It does okay. And that's what I'll give it.
Yeah, well, that's pretty much what I was giving it. I was giving it a 3 because I was judging it as a film and it tells a competent story that you can follow through. The only real issues I had is that there are character sacrifices for the sake of the speed of the plot. So stuff happens
God, yeah.
that only happens because it needs to get on with telling the story.
Like
that is I can't forgive it for that. So yeah, I'm giving it a 3. It was competent, rushed as hell. It really did feel like I was on a treadmill.
I love that as soon as you wrote it down, it was just like, oh, here's like, oh
Speed,
my god,
just
it's
rush,
so fast.
rush,
Pause off, we're free, just like,
yes. Get off the treadmill for a minute. Get off the treadmill. Anyway, so yeah, I give it 3 out of 5.
Okay, guys, I hope this gives you a kind of a roundabout idea on what we think. As I say, I didn't want to spoil it because go and watch it. I don't want to always be spoiling things for you in case you haven't seen it. You just want kind of a gauge before you go and see something. I'll try and do this in the future. I might not, depending on how things.
The ramble. We don't know what we're doing.
Yeah, as you say,
these
ramble
have no
reactions
structure. There's
review.
no structure to these.
Exactly.
Anyways.
So, I hope you enjoyed this video, guys. If you have, please hit that like button. Leave a comment. Tell me what you think. If you've seen it, let us know whether you
I would like
agree
to know
with him,
what other people
agree with
think.
me, whether you're like, no, this is the best thing ever. Let us know.
Who the hell can
please.
say that? Please.
I really don't know.
Somebody
But
out
it
there.
could be someone out there that does.
Yeah, probably.
And guys, if you would, please subscribe. It helps this channel so much. Until next video, I will see you later, and you'll see him actually in the next video.
What are we doing?
We're doing the Game of Thrones.
Oh, you know nothing. Come on.
See you later, guys. Bye.